Cruising along through the summer. InGoal Radio, the podcast presented by the Hockey Shop, source for sports, Langley, thehockeyshop.com. Out here in the east, Darren Millard. Over there in the west, the lower mainland, is Kevin Woodley. And somewhere out there in the universe is David Hutchison. Good to be with you, Woody.
It's good to be with you. We're missing Hutch, though. We are missing our fearless leader, our voice of reason, our dad in this campaign.
I'm looking forward to chatting with him about being over with the Decords and Stop It Goaltending.
Yes, and then the poor bugger's got to go back to Boston with me in about 10 days for the USA Hockey Symposium. So he is racking up the frequent flyer miles. He's been very, very busy. I hear good things about the camp with Decord. Lots of positives from that, and I can't wait to sort of venture back out there. And I don't think Brian's going to be at the USA Hockey because he's got some duties with the Detroit Red Wings, but I'm pretty sure Joey is. We might even, there's a rumor we might even be able to do a live ProReads in front of the whole symposium as part of it. Yeah. InGoal up on stage.
How many days is that USA Hockey Goaltending Symposium?
3, and it includes on the third day. And I think actually, so I shouldn't say includes, I think maybe the main focus of the third day is I'm looking for the right word. It's like a fair almost, goalie fair. Like there's like a marketplace, but there'll also be a stage set up for like interviews that are going. Trade show. There's the word, Darren. Yeah. That's why you get paid the big bucks. It's like a trade show. So it is a trade show. And we'll be there, but also within the trade show, if you're in the Boston area, or frankly, within even a few hours drive of it, you should get there for the final day. I think that's the Saturday. You'll have all the trade show stuff, but also I think they'll have guests on the stage, including, again, I don't want to give too much away. I think some of this is still being finalized, but some NHL goalies that'll be up there doing interviews on the stage as part of the festivities at the trade show on the Saturday. So it's going to be fantastic. There'll be, I believe, between 150 to 200 goalie coaches from around the country coming in. They've got goalie staff from other countries coming in this time as well. Some big names sort of, they've always been an open book at USA Hockey in terms of sharing. Like they're not trying to create the 51 and 30 program and like hide everything under a trench coat. It's all sort of out in the open and open dialogue with other nations about what they're doing, swapping notes and ideas and sort of a real openness and willingness to exchange information for the betterment of the goaltending union in all countries. So it's one of the things I applaud about their approach. One of many things.
Would Hockey Canada do anything similar?
In terms of sharing or in terms of having an event like this?
Having an event like that.
Okay. Putting me on the spot there, Darren. No, they don't have an event like this. Okay. Now they do. I will say they, if you get to the goal, I believe they call it the gold level, the last level of their goalie coaching certification program. They do get together in person live. I believe it's always in Calgary at the training facilities there. And they have, goalie coaches, like Rick Wamsley from Goalie U come in and be a part of that. Joey Ali, who works for the PWHL Vancouver Golden Knights, is a friend of the show as well. He comes in as a part of that. So also, it's a bigger gathering, but not to the extent that this is. This is also sort of their gold certification. Like there's presentations from the people that are up for that final stage of the highest level of certification at USA Hockey. But then there's all these other coaches who aren't necessarily a part of that part of that. They are there as well. And just I guess the answer is no, not like this, not with NHL guys coming in just to be part of presentations.
Does it differently
and just not to the scale, frankly. I mean, there's going to be NHL goalies and coaches here, and there's going to be on ice and off ice demonstrations and talks. It's going to be an incredible weekend.
If you can't get to the trade show at USA Hockey in the final day of that goaltending symposium, just head over to the Hockey Shop, source for sports Langley, thehockeyshop.com. That's like one big trade show, just walking in the doors there.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely, it is, Darren. They've got all kinds of... that's a really good point and a great segue. They've got so much stuff right now. And you know what? I'm seeing... We've talked about the sales when all the new stuff comes in. So it's a little bit of both right now with the Hockey Shop Source for Sports. There is, like, for example, Darren, you've worn the Axis XF series, right?
Yep.
And that's 30% off on all remaining inventory because obviously it's been replaced. Axis XF has been replaced by the new CCM tax line. So they've got some left still, 30% off, blowout. But also it's that time of year where everybody's sort of starting to get back into hockey, getting ready for the upcoming season. The calendar's about to flip from July to August, and that's when they run their Hockey is Back sale. 20 to 50% over 1,200 markdowns around the store. So make sure you go and check that out. Bauer, CCM, Bryans, True, Vaughn, Warrior, markdowns on everything. So make sure you go check that out online at thehockeyshop.com, or if you're lucky enough to live in the area like I am, make sure you go bug Cam and his crew in person. Check out all the great deals and also all the inventory they have on the latest and greatest to get yourself set up in the gear that works for you for your upcoming season.
Love that Access AF. It's the rebounds. I love it when it's fresh ice and you're early in a practice and you send it the length of the ice. I ice it off the pad. It's one of the coolest things.
Active rebounds, big part of the game today. And I will say, Darren, I think they might even come off this new tech set even more explosively. Yeah. Just a little. It's noticeable.
Can you still order custom and get it for the start of the season, or are you right on the edge?
That is a really good question, the kind of question that Cam and his crew will be able to answer. And I do think it depends on the brand. Some of them are turning it over in 6 weeks, so that's getting pretty close depending on when your season starts. Are you mid-September or are you early September? But we're really getting tight in that window. Now, some brands are like 20 plus weeks. They just don't have the ability to turn it over as quickly. They're inundated. And of course, at this time of the year, they're making a lot of equipment for NHL guys. So you're getting into that window. So call Cam. He'll be able to tell you whether you have a snowball's chance in hell or not. But I think I wouldn't wait any longer than after you hear this. If you're thinking about it, you want it fresh and ready to go for the start of this season.
Talk about the next step in Jonathan Quick's journey in goaltending. But let's get to the gear segment first and talk things over with Cam and Woody, talking about the True 7X6.
Welcome back to the Hockey Shop Source of Sports. I'm here with Cam, and we have the True 7X6. Catalyst 7X6. No, UC Saros did not bring his pads back, but the colorway has that Nashville Predators familiarity.
Heavily inspired.
So Cam, we've seen a lot of changes at True in terms of sort of some of the different price points and options. Where does 7X6 fit? We've talked about good, better, best with other brands. Where does this fit?
Good, better, 7X6, best-ish Nitro, fully best Nitro Pro.
Okay, so the difference is Nitro Pro is made in Canada,
and then Nitro's made overseas.
As many brands' pads are. Yes. These are also made overseas, but right. Not with the same material.
No.
So this would sort of be your equivalent of a lot of other brands' second price point. There we go. Okay, that's fine.
Mid-level tier.
Right. Just wanted to make sure we were sort of like, because again, there's a lot of different sort of numbers and SKUs floating around trying to explain that to the consumer so they understand it. This would be the equivalent of a second price point.
Check.
What do you get? Like I'm looking at a lot of the features and I see like is that their Diamond Glide material on the inside?
No, this is weave.
That's weave. Okay, so there's one of the differences. Weave. Standard weave instead of Diamond Glide.
You didn't even hear it.
Okay.
Yes.
DJ Magic camera.
Weave side surface.
Okay.
Similar structure to that side profile of pad. So now that's remained the same.
Okay.
You still get that thinned out profile of the pad. Softer core. Very much softer in comparison to what you would find in even that next price point up in that Nitro pad.
Okay.
Again, bit by design, they're taking some things out to be able to create that, again, mid-level price point.
Right.
Tiered. So even continuing with that knee stack's not going to be the same. You don't have that same kind of stiffness strap that they added to it to be able to get a little bit more rigidity. This is just their standard kind of style of a knee block, which we have seen previously.
A little more wiggle to it.
That's correct. So you will see a little bit more play that way.
Yeah, so if you're used to an older model pad and that's something you're used to, you're getting it here. So still get the FRS style.
That's correct. So that hasn't changed. That has remained. Still get that same overall feel. Nice connectivity.
Probably one of the biggest changes since Lefebvre went out on their own.
Yes, that's correct. Boot-wise, still very, very similar. Still a nice, soft, flat boot construction as well. So you're getting a lot of flexibility, a lot of forward flexion to be able to get over top yourself, reverse VH, things like that. You still get that return. And Pro laces on their stock standard elastic bungee.
So you're just not like the core is compared to like you said, it's more flexible, durability. It's probably going to soften up a little bit even more over time.
I mean, the pad's only ever going to get softer.
Right.
Pad's never going to get stiffer, right? So this is kind of already where we're at.
But a lot of people are looking for that. Like for a lot of people, what NHL goalies want, which is a really stiff pad, is not necessarily what a lot of
conducive
other goalies
That's
want.
correct.
So there we go. Okay. So really good option. Want to do blocker?
Blocker, 7X, 6.
Yes.
Have you seen a true blocker before? Good news is you're wearing it again.
Okay, so no off the angle on this.
No off
and
the
I got to
angle.
be honest, kind of feels like it could use it because I feel like, I guess I could open that wrist up.
You still do have.
Okay, there we go. That's a little better. Now I got a little more.
So face that open to the camera so that everybody can see.
Adjustability matters because when we first sort of had this on, I was like, my hand was kind of locked here. I wasn't able to get it over top and sort of steer rebounds down. That's what I was talking about off the angle. But there you go. Adjustable wrist options are part of the 7X6, so that's a positive. Differences, just not quite the same materials as the Nitro and the Pro.
Just HD foam board.
Okay.
Nothing extra fancy to it overall. They still have that zipper on the back though, so you could technically replace the board down the line.
Right.
Or, hey, if you're crafty, why not add some plastic to it?
There you go.
Catch it. Probably the best value thing that I do.
Yeah, this is
in my opinion, out of this entire piece.
Honestly, this
glove can sell the set. This is one that could possibly do that for you.
Right. And if I'm being perfectly honest, this one's closing easier than when we had the higher price point when we're in here. And that might just be how many people have had it on or whatever. But that's a nice.
Consistently coming out of the box like this.
That's a good thing.
590 overall shape. Index finger to the base of that, your thumb.
It's coming out. Yeah, I can feel it.
So double T, skate lace pocket, depending on the exact colorway.
Skate lace pocket, nylon in between. I noticed when we were doing the Bauer one, it was skate lace and skate lace even in between.
Also another pro level feature, again, depending on which way you want to take it. Very thick overall padding. It's technically a game ready glove, but it just definitely feels like there is some more substantial padding to it, especially in the palm area.
Yeah, no, that's, like I said, this is actually closing easier out of the box than the one that was more expensive we did last time. And that just might be a coincidence, but feels like pretty good value.
Correct.
Sizing, is there any, we've seen other companies go custom options in their second price point. Is there any custom options here?
No custom options, just what you see out the wall.
Okay, but thankfully when you're at the Hockey Shop Source for Sports, you get a lot of options off the wall, including, if you happen to live in Nashville, a really nice color set.
Yes.
So make sure you check out the Hockey Shop Source for Sports, thehockeyshop.com for all the different colorways.
604-589-8299.
And sizing.
Yes.
Okay. That's it.
Truly awesome.
We're done.
And that second price point line is really good value.
Yeah, and there's and True's a little different. There's multiple. We've got the 5X6 coming that we're going to review as well. So there's multiple tiers here, and like I said in the review there were some elements there that really impressed me for sure. So it's incredible how much it's changed. I know a lot of people complained originally about offshore manufacturing. But the reality is now you just change a couple of sort of the ingredients, the materials. They aren't quite the same as the highest level stuff. But it's amazing to me how many of the highest level features are starting to be included on the lower price point pad. And the reality is, and we've said it before, this isn't new, but stuff that 5 years ago would have been pro level is now available pretty much the same pad at a second price point level. Because as they keep adding pieces and elements to the gear, stuff that would have been brand new a few years ago is now available for half the price.
Okay, some updates. Start with Jonathan Quick.
Retired, as we knew. And so new tandem. This one's a little tough. If you've been following along at InGoalMag.com, we've had the great series of skating drills, and we're wrapping that up in the next week. The full hour of skating with Rangers prospect Dylan Garand. I thought Dylan played so well at the end of the season, he'd slide into that number 2 role with Shesterkin as Jonathan Quick retired. But it looks like Joonas Korpisalo, they trade for him, so that's probably your 1-2, and we'll see what happens with Dylan, whether he ends up on waivers or if they maybe even, like a lot of teams, hold 3. In the meantime, Jonathan Quick staying involved, and not surprised because he's from the area, lives in the Connecticut area, and he's going to be the director of goaltending development. Little bit of a head scratcher. When I first saw it, I was director of goaltending one of the first reports, and I'm like, okay, this has always been a Benoit Lair, and Benoit Lair retired from that role this summer. And Jonathan was so late to sort of that philosophy. They've got Jeff Malcolm in the NHL who's learned that philosophy and teaches it. You got Brandon Burke in the American League doing a great job. Also another guy who's sort of a disciple of Benoit Lair through his dad, Sean, who learned it in Arizona and now I think teaches a lot of the same philosophies in Vegas or still has that at a core of his belief. So having somebody that didn't necessarily come from that school of thought be the director had me scratching my head. Now, director of development, that makes a lot more sense. So good for Jonathan Quick, stays involved in the game. And I got to say, we've never had the pleasure at InGoal of having him on as a featured guest or doing pro reads with him, despite his good friend and goalie coach during their time with the LA Kings, Bill Ranford, pushing for it over the years, because Bill tells me that the way Jonathan sees and thinks the game is just like chef's kiss elite. As much as we talked about the aggression early in his career and how he, evolved his game through the Stanley Cups and all the victories that he had, winningest American goaltender, all those different elements of his game. I think his mind was underappreciated because he wasn't as much an open book in the media. We did have some great conversations about goaltending, shorter 5-minute kind of things about his pads and things like that over the years and how tight he wore them. And you got a glimpse, but there was always a hesitation to really open the door. And what I understand from people around him, like he really thinks the position deeply and well. And so that's the type of experience that is going to be so beneficial to their young goaltenders coming through the system, turning pro as prospects, still playing in junior and college, to be able to tap into that expertise from Jonathan Quick and all the experiences he had in that director of development role. So it's exciting times for the Rangers. And, he was there under the Allaire system for the last couple of years. I'm sure there's elements that he's picked up as well. You saw it in his game. It was less aggressive. And actually, the last couple of seasons, he had stretches where his numbers were off the charts good.
Here's a great Jonathan Quick story for you. We all know the palms up goalies who get scored on and they put their palms up like, wasn't my fault, like, or what are you doing? That kind of thing. I was doing a game with Alec Martinez this past winter, and the goaltender in the other net, Vegas scores a goal and the goalie does that. And Marty's like, I hate that. Like, you wouldn't believe how much defensemen hate turning around and seeing that. Like, we're all in the same boat here. And he said, Quickie, there wasn't a goal that he ever allowed where he didn't say, that's on me. To the point where they would go back to him, okay, cut it out. Like that, it was a 3-on-0. I'm pretty sure that we could have helped you out. He said every single goal said, sorry, that's on me. And he said it was one of those bonds that they had between goaltender and defense where he would just own everything, whether it was his fault or not.
There's a lesson there because that's a hell of a career. I would argue a Hockey Hall of Fame career. Obviously, he's got to wait a few years before he's eligible, but he'd be on my list.
Jack Campbell.
Retired. And now moving on as a life coach. Just one of the great, speaking of being able to give young goalies and young athletes advice, one of the great people in the game, one of my absolute favorites. We're going to have him as a guest here on the InGoal Radio Podcast in the next couple of weeks. We've already touched base, and he's graciously agreed to connect with me and put up with me and do a guest spot. And I think we'll probably get a lot out of that interview, just a glimpse at the kind of things he's going to do as a life coach, because the expectations were so high. He was 11th overall, first round pick, and some of the things that were asked of him in terms of being a goalie weren't necessarily the best, I think, in terms of Jack Campbell, the person. And so being able to balance those two worlds, I know some of the mentors that he had over the years that helped sort of him find a better balance. Dusty Emu, I think of when he was with the Kings. There's just a lot of lessons that he's learned along the way, many the hard way. He always persevered through them with, I don't want to say a smile, but just with a graciousness. Smile's too dismissive, but just with he never lost who he, I remember, I'll put it this way.
He was grounded, right?
Just a great person that you wanted good things to happen for. I remember after the Oilers sent him down to the American Hockey League, one of the things that was a little head scratching was the timing, because they did it right where their American League team was going to come through Vancouver, Abbotsford. Hey, we're going to make this huge, headline generating move with this goalie we've signed to this big contract. And then we're going to subject him to Canadian media like the next few days. Like, wait a few more days. And he's in Bakersfield and he doesn't have to. He went through Vancouver. I think they did Calgary after. And so, the questions and they're pointed and he handled everything with so much grace. And so I don't think he needs the job, right? He had a good career and a career full of perseverance and bounce back. But I think this is probably a sign of who he is. And he's discovered that the experiences he went through for good and bad have the ability to help others. And so I can't wait to sort of ask him about that and ask him about the next step. I know he's working with Steve Briere's goalie schools already to bring that experience to their goalie schools. So I wanted to shout that out. They obviously would have had a relationship when he was in Toronto and had those great seasons. So yeah, just one of the great people in the game. I always say, Darren, especially come playoff time, people say, "Oh, who are you cheering for?" And I say, "I don't cheer for a team. I cheer for great people and great stories." And Jack Campbell was always both in good and bad. He always maintained that ability to be both. So can't wait to catch up with him. Congratulations to him on a great career that was almost derailed a few times, kept persevering, and I'm excited to see what's next.
Again, Jack Campbell on the list of guests coming up in the next couple of shows on InGoal Radio, the podcast. Jet Greaves getting paid. We're in the midst of the arbitration window. He does not go the distance as he and the Columbus Blue Jackets are able to secure a 3-year deal. What do you think of the number as compared to what the team was pushing for and what Jet was asking for?
Well, I mean, it's arbitration, right? The athlete asks high, finds the high end of the comparable. And frankly, their arbitration ask was in line with Dustin Wolf's contract. And I think when you look at this, I mean, does Jet Greaves have 2 American Hockey League Goalie of the Year awards? No. But when you look at his adjusted numbers in the National Hockey League, especially, adjusted for the shot quality he was facing, like I've talked about this for years, Jet's numbers have been off the charts good. They leveled off a little bit this year, but that's to be expected as he had a full-time role and there's ups and downs and learning experiences there. So they split the difference, right? Like, and Columbus obviously comes in low. Like that's just the nature of arbitration. They're going to come in with the lowest comp they think works. Somebody I saw reported that the 2.8 they were offering in arbitration was the Artur Shilov's comp. Right. So Shilov's has won a playoff series. At the end of the day, it's just numbers when you get to arbitration. I'd be curious whether they had access to my numbers on Greaves' side, because my numbers paint a picture of a guy who has had a ton of success, again, relative to environment, because one team to the next is apples to oranges, and a guy who projects very highly for the future. Frankly, a guy who I think is going to be a part of, he got the World Championships experience. Guy I've got on my list to be a part of the Four Nations and future Olympics for Canada. When you look at the way he's progressed, the next step is just consistency at the highest level. And so avoiding arbitration and the potential animosity of it is a good thing. Basically split the difference between the two asks, and they kept the term down. And if you're a team, I think keeping the term down is never a bad thing when it comes to goaltending, because this is going to cost me my goalie union card, but there's a lot of volatility in the position. It's just the nature of it. So they keep the term down, which keeps them happy. And I think if you're Greaves, and I know how much how hard he's worked to get to this level and how much he believes in that path and what he's capable of, 3-year window, $5 million a season, as the cap rises and I think goalie salaries are going to evolve, he's going to come out of that, a little bit of a prove me window and have an opportunity to cash in again. So it's to me, it's a win-win-win.
If he's in the mix for Team USA 2030
or Team Canada,
Team Canada 2030. Get my nations mixed up. Then you're talking about getting paid.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of guys that are going to be on the podcast one day, we've got Jack coming up. This is if Jet listens to this. He's been hesitant to come on the podcast in the past. I think he used to say he just didn't feel like he had that status yet. I'm like, you've got it now. We have had him on for ProReads. I tease. He's, again, we talk about great people. One of my favorites to talk to. He was a ProReads guest, did it live outside the locker room when Columbus came through town this year, did 4 ProReads for us. He did the one when we met him in Montreal a couple of years ago, where he sat down and broke down a ton of clips from his first game against his hometown Leafs when he first got called up. Like, just one of those guys you cheer for, Darren. And so excited for him, excited for the future for him. And I think it's a future that's full of many more bright moments ahead.
Fun guy to watch too.
Yes.
Speaking of ProReads, let's slide over there. Brought to us by Visual Edge.
Visual Edge, a tool used by goalies like Jordan Binnington, a tool that goaltending coaching great Mitch Korn asks his goalies to use, both to assess where their vision is at and then to go about improving it. Jeff Glass, goalie coach in the Anaheim Ducks system, Justin Peters of the Ottawa Senators. These guys all know it helps their goalies see the puck better. As Kazimir Kaskasuo once said to us, if you're not training your eyes, you're falling behind. Visual Edge has added an element, a quality element to my preparation as a goaltender. I use the game day drills every game before heading to the rink. It's a combination of recognition, reaction, and focus that activates my brain and eyes to feel ready for what's to come. That was Jordan Binnington, who used it at the Olympics, used it at the Four Nations, and is a Visual Edge game day user all the time. You can become a Visual Edge game day user, or, like I said, use it to build your vision and on game days. That's the best way to do it. Use the code INGOAL, INGOAL, to get 10% off Visual Edge monthly and annual subscriptions, or if you're a member at InGoal, get 20% off. If you're not a member, why not join today? Because you'll actually make that money back just in your Visual Edge subscription. The discount code for InGoal members is on every ProReads that we publish. Got to be a member to log in to see the full ProReads. Check it out and save 20% on your subscription to Visual Edge today. And this week's ProReads, we go back. We've been talking about Dustin Wolf. We go back to Dustin Wolf with a great breakdown of when to cheat. So, Darren, cross ice pass, top of the zone, guy catches it at the top of the circle. Every goalie's probably, it's basically a 2-on-1 off a turnover off the wall from the top of the circle down. Every goalie's pushing over to that guy at the top of the circle. But when Wolfie does it in this video, he doesn't square up on him. He stays flat because there's another threat coming on the back door. The question becomes, what factors do you think would have determined his ability to cheat, his own word, on that backdoor guy, rather than square up a guy who's got time and space at the top of the circle off a cross ice pass?
He's got to just know who's on the ice and who's over there, right?
Right. Handedness also part of that.
Yeah.
There were other factors in this one, and I'm not going to give them away because I do have a tendency. I can pick. Hutch isn't with us today, but I can picture him going, "Oh, you're flirting the line here." I can see the look on his face right now as we talk about this. There were factors in this play that led Dustin Wolf to feel like, if you shoot from there, I've got this no matter what, and I can wait to square up once I see that stick flex and know it's coming. I'm not going to give away those factors. But it's pretty rare on a guy, so again, like taking a pass all alone, top of the circle, for a goalie not to immediately get to the edge of his crease and square. But Wolf didn't. And so rather than me telling you, I'm going to let all the goalies think about this one, all the different factors that could go into that allowed Wolf to feel so confident on that shot that he could cheat and stay flat so he could get across to the back door. And then the answers are at InGoal Magazine, ingoalmag.com, in our latest Pro Reads, as well as, like I said, a 20% discount to Visual Edge. So make sure you go check it out there today.
I don't see a guy in the National Hockey League who players seemingly just shoot the puck into his glove on a right side shot coming down the wall. And he just has it there. And it looks like they're just shooting it in there. But there's obviously so much that goes to it because he just...
Did you watch this like did you see it went in the glove or did...
No,
yeah,
I just between the I mean, we know the jump, we know his footwork, we know all his abilities, but the takeaway from, because he's my favorite guy to watch, is just how often he ends up in like a one knee down and they just shoot it in his glove. I'm like, what? How does he do that? How does he convince them to do that?
Yeah,
it's baffling, but it's so impressive that. He continues to get it done. So I'm looking forward to this week's Pro Read. Hutch is not here talking to us, but he is around with the parent segment presented by Stop It Goaltending U, the app.
Before we get to Hutch, a reminder, would you like to have 25 years of NHL goalie coaching experience at your fingertips? Want to tap into the goalie parenting expertise that helped Joey Decord reach the NHL? That's what you get with a subscription to Stop It Goaltending U, the app. All the knowledge from Brian Decord has been an NHL goalie coach, scout, and director, as well as all the insights and expertise from his staff at Stop It, which includes a long list of pro and veteran NCAA coaches, all delivered in easy-to-digest chunks, including 5 short daily primers, weekly style analysis, and breakdown videos, as well as drills that you can take onto the ice with your team and coach. Plus, you get a subscription to InGoal magazine included, which would then also allow you to access the ProReads and the discounts. So check it out now at the App Store or Google Play and get the best of both worlds with a subscription to Stop It Goaltending U, the app, and a subscription to InGoal Premium.
I speak for Woody. Hutch, we miss you. David?
Sorry I can't be with you again this week, guys, but today I'm reflecting on my time at Stop It Goaltending's GCG Prospects Camp just outside Boston last week. It was a fantastic week where Brian Decord kindly invited me to be a guest coach. There were literally dozens of coaches there from the NHL, NCAA Division 1 and 3, the OHL, QMJHL, and even the Slovak Extraliga, and somehow, me. 2 things really hit home that we've talked about a lot on this segment before. The first is to stay open to learning from new voices. Nearly 200 goalies attended the camp, and they never saw the same lineup of coaches on any one ice session. That was intentional. There was a framework and a curriculum for each day with themes at every station, but beyond that, each coach was encouraged to bring their own perspective and approach. It was a powerful way for goalies to expand their thinking and for coaches to learn from one another. In fact, once the on-ice sessions ended, we'd spend hours in the classroom sharing ideas and discussing the game late into the evening. The second lesson came from the parents. I had the opportunity to speak to a room packed with more than 80 goalie parents as part of their seminar series. The highlight for me was sharing the stage with Brian Decord and talking about the journey of being a goalie parent. We both shared the highs and the lows. And yes, even when your goalie's in the NHL, there are still difficult nights. As I talked with parents throughout the week, one message kept coming back, and it's one we've shared here many times. You're not alone. We've all celebrated incredible moments watching our sons and daughters play. We've all been frustrated by coaching decisions, tough games, disappointing tryouts, and the countless ups and downs that come with the position. One of the best parts of goalie camps is the friendships goalies build that often last a lifetime, no matter where they end up playing. The same is true for parents. To all the parents who were there, and to all of you who continue to send us your stories and emails at parents@ingoalmag.com, thank you. It's been amazing to build this goalie parent community together. And a huge thanks to Dak and everyone at Stop It Goaltending for welcoming us last week. Finally, if you're headed to the USA Hockey Symposium in Boston in a couple of weeks, please stop by and say hello. We'd love to meet you there.
We miss him, but do you think he misses us?
Probably not.
No.
Probably not. It's like herding cats. It's like herding cats having to be around us.
Yeah. That's fair, though. Like a little time away. He won't miss us, but he'll be more tolerable of our presence.
That's true. He will be. That's the problem, though, Darren. You're in good shape, buddy, because it's been a little while. Me, like I'll be in that good graces for a week, and then he's got to get a plane with me and put up with me for a week in Boston, or for 4 or 5 days in Boston, and by the end of that, he'll be done with me. And I frankly don't blame him.
Okay, here's a question.
I'm a little OCD.
When you fly, you fly with a buddy or your coworker / buddy. Do you sit together on the plane? I don't.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure in this case, but I believe we are in this case.
Oh,
yes.
Impressive. I never sit with my people. I just want to zone out.
See, I end up, I think being on a plane, and this probably speaks to my inability to remove the distractions in my life when I'm at home, but when I'm on a plane, or maybe it's because I usually have 6 deadlines that I need to reach so that I can go away in peace, I get so much done. Like when we go on a trip, it's usually like, okay, I got to get 3 stories done. Then I don't have to worry about anything while we're away for a week. So I will just grind on that plane and work for the whole, it's a 6-hour flight. Like I don't sleep on flights. I rarely watch movies on flights. I will just grind for most of the 6 hours.
I sleep in podcast. Listen to podcasts.
Oh, not bad. Hopefully, as long as you're not listening to ours to put you to sleep.
No. I'd be too jacked listening to us. So we've got our NHL Sense Arena feature interview this week with Emmett Croteau.
Yeah, Montreal Canadiens draft pick, Emmett Croteau. I had a chance to, this kind of follows the Callum Tongue interview from last week.
Oh, yeah.
They were both on the ice. You're going to hear,
which was fantastic.
Yeah, he was great. He was great. And so's Emmett. I'll tell you, Darren, you're going to listen to this interview and you're going to have another young goalie that you want to follow, a career you want to follow, because and it's an exciting one. I just was really impressed with both these young men, the work they were doing on the ice. You're going to hear them reference the goggles, the Lyle Mast OR Sports track optic goggles, and the work that they were doing on the ice with that.
Are those public yet?
No, but real close. Okay.
Have I got to get me a pair of those.
I have a meeting later today about that. So
nice.
They're coming, and you'll be able to find them through us. This is a great story, great background story. One of those ones where you find yourself at the end of it just becoming an even bigger fan of an athlete that a lot of our listeners probably didn't know all that well. So really great stuff. And speaking of great stuff, how about NHL Sense Arena? There is still a chance to complete your Team USA July training. We're winding down, but there's plenty of time still to jump in. Inspired by Team USA hockey and appropriately ahead of the USA Goalie Symposium, these guided training plans will help develop the skills that separate great goaltenders. The focus areas this month, soft scanning, improving your ability to scan the ice in layers for play tracking. How many times have we talked about that on the InGoal ProReads? The ability to look off pucks and scan the zone. Reading releases, identifying shooting cues for different shot types. Box control, learn to have active hands but control your positioning. And game flow reads, anticipate plays and react to in-game situations. It is all a part of the USA Hockey July training module, and there's still plenty of time to jump in to earn your Team USA Training Award badge, a chance to win 2 free months of NHL Sense Arena, and bonus entries for completing the GAP program, Goalie Advancement Program. So lots of great stuff at NHL Sense Arena this month. Make sure you check it out before July ends and we get into August. It'll still be there in August, but a chance to sort of earn some badges and some awards before turning the page. And the perfect way to get ready, all those things I talked about, great ways to get ready for your upcoming season or tryouts.
Looking forward to this conversation. Enjoy it on InGoal Radio.
Really excited to welcome to the InGoal Radio Podcast. First time guest. I have a hunch it might be the first of many because I got to watch this young man skating out here this week. I also got a taste of the personality too a little bit. He likes to have some fun. Emmett Croteau, Montreal Canadiens prospect. Would have been at Dev Camp this year. Okay. And playing at Dartmouth College. First off, just thank you for joining us.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's been fun. Come out here in BC and get a taste of, been skating with Lyle Mast and, having you there as well and having Tavin and yeah, it's been fun and been enjoying it and just glad to be here. So thanks for having me.
So where does this fit? Like we're into sort of late July here. Is this, how long have you been skating? Like you said, I know you had development camp early in July. Like what does an off season look like for you?
Yeah, it's been all over the place. Like I've got to a new school and, I've grown and learned and figured out a lot of things and what works for me and what not. But yeah, like last summer I was at school catching up on some credits and I skated maybe 5 times. But this summer, I've had access to a lot of great goalie minds and a lot of, opportunities like this one here. And I'll head down and skate with Ben Vanderklok next week. So this summer's been a little bit more both on ice and off ice too. So it's, not too much going on in Bonnyville, Alberta nowadays. Fam's there. So I always go back and see them and check in on them. But yeah, just absorbing, being a sponge for the off season and take what I can into the season.
I was going to say, I was just about to say, you're from Bonnyville, Alberta. Mm-hmm. So the Ben Vanderklok thing, you said different minds. And is that like a conscious, you're going out? Is that something your agency's helping you do? Just trying to learn as much as you can in these key development years?
Yeah, it's funny enough. When I was younger, my dad was able to bring me just kind of everywhere in that aspect. So I skated with Lyle and Dustin Schwartz when I was 10. I had a little Spider-Man goalie mask and I was out there buzzing around. And I think I was 15 when I was with Ben Vanderklok. So now it's I put myself in a position where, I got some time in the summer and it's kind of full circle to kind of go back and see, that little version of me to now I'm getting to an adult and matured a little bit on and off the ice and kind of grow and learn in these opportunities too.
Okay, so I want to pull on that string a little bit. Your dad taking you to different places. Like, just how'd you, like, let's start with the origin story. How did Emmett become a goaltender?
How did Emmett become a goaltender? Well, I was probably the dirtiest forward of all time as a young kid. I was getting in scraps and spearing guys when I was like 8. So I think what we we'd rotate goalie. Everyone shared the same gear, and you'd go in. And my first game, I got a shutout, and I was like, wow, I like this. And who knows if I didn't get that shutout, what would have happened? But that's how it happened. And, since then, grew up, played minor hockey in Bonnyville, played AA. And yeah, from there, just outsourced all the way to California. That's kind of a unique story. And a lot of people ask me about that. And then made my way into the USHL. And then the rest is history from there. But,
okay, so I'm going to need to know. So your dad would take you to different camps. I feel like the California thing, I have to ask about that. Was that just like a conscious effort? Travel team tournaments, you go meet different guys? We heard that story from Thatcher Demko. Or like in the summers, you guys were just trying to expand the horizons as much as possible. Walk me through it.
Yeah, I think Dad doesn't mind driving and going on little trips to get away from Northeast Alberta. So yeah, like it was, the summer was a lot of hockey camps, and at a young age you enjoy it, and you love getting on the ice and having fun. Like obviously you still do, but it's almost like a little bit more euphoric as a kid. It's just like whenever you're on the ice, it's unreal. So yeah, like as a kid, it was just like my dad would find things, and he'd hear from other goalies in the area just about like, hey, what works, what's this, and he had fun doing it, and I did too. And it wasn't more of it wasn't, I don't know, I guess like me, like I need to get better. It was just experience and having fun and getting comfortable in your skates, and I've met so many amazing minds and amazing for like friends I've made at goalie camps in spring hockey when I was like 10, to where it's like I still talk to them nowadays. So
I love that. Now, California, you teased it, so now you got to follow through.
Yeah.
How'd you end up at California?
Yeah, so there was a bit of a backlog going into AAA at the midget level in Lloydminster.
Braden Holtby,
yeah. When he was in Hershey, I was in John Stevenson's garage, and Braden Holtby was shooting pucks at me from the puck machine. So that's
like speaking of stories, I feel like you've got a few there. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we'd go out and see John Stevenson in his little garage and launch pucks at me, and yeah, it's just little stuff like that. It makes the person and the goalie you are today. And when I guess back to the California thing, it was almost just an opportunity. And as a 15-year-old kid moving to California, obviously it has its challenges, but it doesn't sound too bad. So didn't wear a pair of pants that year, and had a really good year, and it got me into the USHL. So
okay, from there, so all these great experiences, but as you're going through this, like it's funny because you've been on the ice with Callum Tunk, and he's coming up his first year pro, signs a contract with the Rangers. You're drafted by Montreal, but for him, not drafted into the dub, not drafted into the NHL. What was some lessons there? Were you not drafted in the WHL, or was it? Yeah,
no, I was. Everyone in the area of Bonnyville kind of stayed back, and we played AA, and I think one or two of us got drafted, but we stayed back, and it was easier on the parents for driving and school, and it's just kind of it's a challenge, right? Like financially, and as a young kid to move away. So I was around Bonnyville, and I was just literally having fun playing hockey, and the WHL draft, it never worked out, but I'm really happy that my dad and my grandpa and my mom, like they all understood from an aspect that doesn't really define your trajectory as a goalie and a person. It's almost just like, as a young kid, I was able to take that as fuel in a sense, and use that to just be like, okay, like that didn't happen, and I'm still a great goalie, and I still love this sport. So I use that as a trajectory, like, throughout midget and whatnot, to just try and get to the next level. And you know what I mean? It's not proving people wrong, but it's just like, all right, what's next? You know what I mean? You can't, if you dwell on it, you'll feel that, emotionally, you'll feel it in your game. Like it's like, you take everything as a learning experience, and you grow from that. And then that's what I was able to do. So
was there any point where you dwelled on it a little bit? Like, is that a lesson you learned? Because I think that's human nature too, right? 100%. Like, but you've learned from it, obviously.
100%. Yeah, it's easy to just say like, oh, don't care. But as a kid, like it's like, oh, it's like it is hard, and it is hard. And the WHL draft that's a young, like you're young when that happens, and a lot of people are not even close to developed, or you know what I mean? A lot of kids age a little faster than others. And you see that. So it was tough for a couple of days, and I just kind of, put my work boots on, was just like, I love hockey, and this isn't the end of it. This is only just the beginning. So
all those different voices, from John Stevenson's garage with Braden Holtby, to going to California. What was that year like? Were you playing high school hockey down there?
It was a kind of like split, like half high school, half 18 AAA, and at the 18 AAA we do showcases with the NAPHL as well. So
A lot of travel.
Yeah, a lot of travel. Kind of get to miss school on Friday, catch the flight. A lot of in Minnesota, Dallas. I think it was Minnesota and Dallas mostly that year, but saw the world as a young kid. Like that was really cool. And you played against a lot of good players at a young age. I was playing a little bit younger. I was 16 down there playing 18 AAA. So there's 19-year-olds playing in that, and that kind of got me into the eyes of USA Hockey and the paths that would eventually lead from that. So
what about goalie coaching? We've talked about some of the voices, and it seems like a real conscious effort to go out and expand those voices. Who are some of the guys that had the biggest impact in the early years for you?
Yeah. Dale Fleming, Bonnyville. He played local senior hockey. He was the first kind of guy I had access to. And then from there, John Stevenson, Curtis Muka, Dustin Schwartz, Lyle. Those were the main guys. Those were guys in the area that really had an impact on me at a young age. And it's funny, I think back to Johnny Stevenson in his garage, like he would give it to me. Like he would call it, like I'd always bring my glove up facing the roof. Like I'd kind of open my palm up and he'd call me the Muffin Man. And he knew how to push my buttons. So it's just stuff like that you remember, and how much time they put into me, and my dad getting me there. It's so funny and like just so cool to look back on all of that. So
USHL experiences. Walk me through, what was that like for you? I mean, obviously being in that sort of prep high school and travel team, like that's what you're not going in blind or anything. You know what it's like, but the opportunities, the development during that stage of your career.
Yeah. Obviously the path is a bit different nowadays with all the rule changes and whatnot, but back in my time, but yeah, I'm not even old, and I'm saying back in my time.
I know, but honestly, it's funny because I know you had some exposure to Mike Condon at the Dev Camp. We had him on the podcast, and he talked about how like he was in the same high school for 6 years, the same university for 4. The fact that you were in Waterloo in the USHL for 3 years, like even that's increasingly less likely to happen. Like that's stability compared to what these quote unquote kids face a couple years younger than you now.
Yeah. So it was like, I'd talked to my guy at the time, Eric Darwitz, who I was working with through Hawkeye Hockey. And he just said, hey, like there might be some USHL teams looking and some NAL teams, and just took it with a grain of salt. Like I didn't get too invested, and I was taking a nap and I woke up from a call from Waterloo and got drafted there before the summer before I went there. And I initially thought I was in Ontario, actually. I called my family from Ontario and I was like, oh, I'm coming to Waterloo. Turns out it was in Iowa. But yeah, that was a unique experience, and it worked out, I was a young kid, COVID year, 3 goalies, almost kind of snuck in and just got a lot of practice reps, snuck in, got some games, and then built from there. So I was super grateful for that.
How'd your game evolve? And again, probably more new voices and maybe some advice on how to handle, like, You've worked with all these different people, how to take things, not lose yourself to different voices, and make sure it's a positive. And here you go to the USHL. Now that's your goalie coach. He controls some elements of your life for the next couple of years. So you got to listen, but maybe not everything works. Like, walk us through not just what was that like for you, but advice to other kids that might face that same type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, going into junior hockey, the game's the same. Hockey's hockey, but a lot of big changes life-wise, and a lot of big changes, you got to keep in touch with yourself mentally, physically, to set yourself up for that. So, as I was pretty young going there, and I struggled at times. Like you gotta wake up, you gotta do your laundry, you gotta take care of yourself, get ready, get yourself stretched. And it presents a lot of challenges that you can learn from and grow from, but they can, weigh you down at times. So I struggle at times, but I think it was just slow, consistent progress. You go one practice, you don't stretch, you're going to feel it. And then the next day, I'm sure you're going to stretch, right? So little stuff like that to where I was able to constantly just to learn and adapt to be a pro. Like there was a lot of great guys to learn from. I think a big one was Max Sasson. He's with the Vancouver Canucks now, and obviously he's a forward, but just a guy who, unconditionally himself, and he approached the game the right way and was a pro, and a guy I looked up to. And being around so many like-minded people and peers at a very high level, you learn, and that's the biggest part of it. So
How'd your game evolve?
Yeah, I was I remember my first game. I'm pretty sure I was on my belly for half the game, just wild. But I think that, there's still a piece of that to my game nowadays. Like, it's like I like to be athletic and make saves, but obviously there's a lot more control into that. But it's almost like, pushing the needle little by little, the details, and you understand the speed, because that's the biggest difference. Like we talked about with Lyle this week, that's what changes the speed of everything, the release, the players, the speed of you as well. So it was just so cool to see my evolution throughout the 3 years. It was like first year on my belly, just wild. Then I was like, second year, I was like, okay, I got a little control here now. And then third year was able to beat plays, follow it. And, you just feel more and more elite as time goes on. So.
And third year is where you get drafted, if I'm not mistaken. 2022. So after your second year.
Yeah,
okay. So what memories of draft? Like, were you there in person? Did you follow it along on the computer? How'd that go for you?
Yeah, it was unique. Like, I talked to Raph beforehand, and he said, hey, I think 75% chance you go. It's like, great. That's awesome. I didn't want to go and it'd be kind of tough to kind of show up and, not have your name called. So I was just, I was at home. I was actually getting dressed to go on the ice with Curtis Muka at one of his summer camps. And I got a call from Raph, and he said, hey, your name just got called in the Bell Center. So it was funny. It was a room full of goalies, and I got that phone call, and everyone kind of knew what was going on. And I walked out and shared a moment with my dad. He was crying. You don't see that often. And it was special. It was a real kind of benchmark to see, all that work that I put in, and, as a family, as, personally, to just kind of feel like the reward. But yeah, it was an honor, and it was just something that I'll cherish forever.
And it's the Habs, and it was at the Bell Center.
Yeah, it was. So I guess maybe part of me wishes I was there for that aspect. But yeah, really cool.
Well, you don't want to be last draft I covered live was 2019 here, and that was the year Dustin Wolf sat there as the WHL goalie of the year and got picked in the absolute last round. I'll never forget the cheer, but it wasn't that far from not happening, right? That's tough. Again, we talk about the expectations and the pressure that come with that. It's a tough way to live.
It's, it's tough sometimes, because it's like, as a goaltender, you sometimes you maybe get a little more credit you deserve, and sometimes people are a little more hard on you than they should be. That was Braden Holtby. I remember he said that in that interview. What was it? His pregame routine video. I probably watched that 50 times. I love that video. But it's, as you get older, you learn how to kind of narrow that scope and understand that it's really just kind of you, and it's you versus you. And, you can listen, and you can acknowledge, all that outside noise and expectations and pressure, because that's human nature. But I think as you mature and you grow within the game and as a person, you kind of learn to kind of dilute that and take it for what it is. So, yeah.
Clarkson, was college always through the USHL and you get drafted? Were you always thinking university?
Yeah. I think as a young age, I saw a lot of cases of, guys going to major junior early and then not working out. And then from there, the road,
the window closes quick.
The road gets narrow. Obviously it's a bit different nowadays, but I was always not scared, but it was just why not give myself an opportunity to go somewhere, play, get a good education, and maybe a little bit more comfortably. It's a little bit more cutthroat at a young age at that major junior level. So in my mind, I was always college. I went to a couple of those College Hockey Inc. skates that they hosted down in Edmonton, and that gave me and my dad a bit of an understanding and a scope of, what it was and what it was going to take. So I guess that was always the goal at a young age too. So
start at Clarkson, only 1 year there, and then you transfer over to Dartmouth. Another thing that's changed, right? That portal and things being more open. Walk me through that decision and some of the influences you had at Clarkson, and then your work at Dartmouth over the last few years.
Yeah, it was, my first year was tough. You can obviously look at my elite prospects and see the numbers and whatnot, but I
also know the numbers don't always tell the full story. And then when we talk about life adjustments, that's a pretty big one, Emmett.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny you say that, because it's I look back on that year and I'm so grateful that I've went through everything I went through for that year. I showed up, I was a little bit out of shape, and, a little bit maybe higher expectations of myself than what was, needed. So yeah, I learned that, I needed to kind of slim down and get into shape and be more of a pro. And, that year I got hurt and dealt with some stuff, on and off the ice. And I look back on that almost every couple of days and appreciate the growth that came from that. So yeah, it's just like, every lesson, every mistake, every so-called failure, there's a lesson behind it. And I was able to take the good in that. So
The decision to transfer to Dartmouth, the opportunity there, new voices again, new coaches, new philosophies.
Yeah, it was, wow. I look back and it's just like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into going to Dartmouth, and it's the best decision I've ever made in my life. Like I'm at one of the best schools in the world, and I'm playing really good hockey with really cool people, just living, learning. Like it's exceptional. The people and the class and the way they treat us there. So I could go on and on. I could make this podcast really long about how happy I was coming to Dartmouth with Coach Cashman, Coach Tapp, and all the great teammates I've had. So
We've had a few Dartmouth grads on here before, so we know how good it is there. Def Camp.
Yeah.
What you can share, obviously, at the NHL level, sometimes there are things they don't want you to share too much, but get a chance to work with Marco Marciano each time you've been there. Now he's in a different role still involved in the Dev Camp side of things. How's your game evolved, or what kind of opinions have you gotten from them about where it needs to go and what needs to change, if anything?
Yeah. So, working with Marco the past couple of years, like high energy guy, like we work on the balls. He really preaches the little details. And I think that's what was missing a lot of my early, my junior and my early college days. And obviously you're still working, you're never perfect, but having him there to push me, and, he's appreciated my growth and, the work I put in on and off the ice. So it was fun. Like you just go to those and you're kind of a little bit starstruck, but you're also learning so much, and it's experience people would kill for. And I, acknowledge that, and, just try and be a sponge that week. And, you have a lot of fun, and it's a free trip to Montreal at the end of the day. So it's, you got to appreciate that.
Are there any specifics? Like, I mean, the pro game's changed so much, but at the same time, you're not there yet. You're still playing at Dartmouth. They probably don't want to take you out of things. There's probably things that they want to change or adjust slightly. Yeah. That will translate at pro, but you don't want it to be at the expense of success in college. So what kind of adjustments you've made the past couple of years?
Yeah, it's a lot of it. I've, kind of slimmed down and got a little bit bigger, faster, stronger. So now coming into that frame, I'm able to move a lot better. It was before I was getting a little wide and getting behind plays a little bit. So now it's kind of getting out of those habits and beating plays and using my size. And I was talking about, like, I like to get a little wily in the net, like, my first year junior, like sometimes I'm in the white paint, but so now it's kind of just like addressing, like, there is a time and a place for that. And it's kind of that window closes as, the game gets faster. So a lot of it just understanding how big I am, hitting my spots and hitting them efficiently. And I think that's, what we've been doing with Lyle this week. And that's what Marco's been preaching. So keeping, like, Marco preaches a lot about staying over top of pucks and tracking head trajectory. And it's kind of similar to stuff we talk about with Lyle. And it's two great goalie minds that I get to work with in a short span of time. So it's awesome to absorb all that info and take input in the game.
So, and I've gotten to witness this firsthand. Like, you absolutely have another gear. And I love that because unpredictability matters, but not with, like, it can't be uncontrolled unpredictability. You see that? Like you don't want to get too boxed in, but you see the values of different routes that put you in position with such a big frame.
Yeah. What's the quote? It's easier to, like, paint stripes on a tiger than try and get, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You got to put,
I don't know that one, but I know exactly what you're saying.
So yeah, it's like, have that there, and, like, broken play, bounces back door, like, show up and try and athletically get there. But from now is just trying to box that in and just understand, well, I guess pun intended, with the box control and filling space and understanding our depth. And it's crazy to see, like, you've talked about the stats and how the game's changing and how fast and how horizontal like the plays are getting made. So you got to set yourself up to get there and beat that play. So
I gotta ask, did you play other sports growing up? Because the hands are really fun to watch. They're active, controlled. You're cutting pucks off with your hands that a lot of guys are hoping hit their shoulder. Where does that come from? Is other sports involved, or just, obviously goaltending is a part of it, but
as a young kid, I really liked just doing everything. Like, I was a pretty wily kid. It was hard to get me down for bedtime, but a lot of basketball, a lot of lacrosse. Those are kind of two things that I love doing. And obviously I've cut down on the lacrosse. It's as much as I wish I could. You got to kind of protect the body in that sense.
It's a tough sport.
Yeah, tough sport. I played junior B a couple of years ago and I got a taste. It was fun to let the anger out a bit, but I just thought for the long run, it'd probably be better if I stay. But a lot of basketball and, I've been working a lot of hand-eye stuff too on the side. So I think that's helped. But yeah.
Anything that you've done on the hand-eye side or worked with anybody or programs you've done that maybe another young goalie might be like, tell me more.
So I do racket balls, tennis balls. It's crazy that I'm blanking on the name right now, but it's the one with the balls that they float and they have the different numbers on them. You know what I'm talking about? That program on the computer. I'm going to start Visual Edge too as well.
I was just Visual Edge is the one I'm thinking of, but I know exactly what you're talking about because I'm guessing probably John Stevenson. And I know exactly what it is that way back in the day, the Canucks had that program in their mind room before anybody else had a mind room, and we'll insert it here. I'll remember.
Yeah. So just little stuff like that, and it's like if you're bored, you're sitting and you're going to doom scroll a little bit. Why not just train your eyes and do something like that? And in the summers, before I go to bed and before I like to read or just meditate or wind down, it's like, just go throw some balls at the wall, decompress and get away from the screen. And it's fun. You get to actively just throw balls at the wall. It's kind of fun. I mean, maybe that's the goalie in me's talking, but something you can work on.
Did you have a guy growing up? Was there somebody you looked at and was like, I want to play like that guy?
It's funny enough. I was always huge Jonathan Quick. And then I started to grow and understand that I'm going to be a little bit different than Jonathan Quick. So after that, it was all Carey and all Vassy. Those are two guys that, if you can be half as good as they are, you're probably in a good spot. But it's like nowadays, it's like I take tidbits from everything. Like I was able to skate with Carter Hart last summer and just seeing his detail and how precise he is with his movements. It's incredible. Like it was honestly breathtaking. And just showed me like how good I need to be to play at the next level. And I've always, all my old teammates and stuff know this. I love Binner. I appreciate like what he brings to the game, like his feistiness and his compete level. It's just like, you can't teach that stuff. And it's like, I like to have a little bit of that game, a little fire under my butt. So it's like, as I've grown up, I've taken so many little things from so many goalies. And it's like, to be able to kind of be in a level that's kind of close to them is just like so grateful and, having fun and, appreciate that a lot. So
the smile seems to be there constantly, even on the ice, and the compete and battling with the guys, and maybe a few words we can't repeat on this podcast as you go through it with them, but chirping that back and forth. We've heard it from a lot of different guys over the years. Flowers, one of them, right? Like the ability to continue to, even if you're in this moment where it's becoming a career and you're recognizing the importance of details, fun. Like it matters.
And it's like sometimes being a goalie isn't forgiving. And in those moments when you can realize that you're me, like I'm getting to go to a Ivy League school, getting mentored by amazing coaches, meeting people, travel the world. It's an opportunity people would kill for. And I'm grateful. And it's a blast. Like, it's like, I think back to like when my dad would make me work at his truss plant a couple summers ago. There's nothing I hate more. I'd rather do cardio for 10 hours a day than do that. And if I use that as motivation or whatever, but it's just like, I appreciate where I'm at and the people that have got me here a lot. So
last one, the work this week, just because it's unique, the goggles. Had you used those before, the Track Optic goggles?
Yeah, I'd done a little bit of more of a makeshift version. Like I think I ordered some off Amazon and added some tape and whatnot.
You made your own, but you understood the concept going in.
And it's like, we talked about, it's like, it's a tool where it's like you're actively just teaching and helping yourself without realizing it. You're staying over pucks and then you take those glasses off and you just see your full vision. You're like, wow, like you just feel like big. You feel like you're meeting pucks. You feel like you're over top of it. The game slows down a little bit. So it's a tool I use every practice. Like first 10 minutes, I throw those on and you take them off and it's almost like you're primed and like you're set to stay over pucks and watch them right in your glove, right in your blocker, in and out. So it's really cool to see what he's been working on and what's going to be coming soon. But yeah, seeing it firsthand and having access to it has been awesome. So
Emmett, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time. I feel like I said, like, especially now, I know this is the first of many with you. I can't wait to follow along. And I know our host, Darren Millard, will be the same way. We discover young goalies we didn't know well, and then we become big fans and follow their career. And I can't wait to do the same with you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys, what you guys are doing with the position. Like it's a little bit niche. Like, everyone's saying goalies are weird. we are kind of sometimes, but it's
Right.
cool. Yeah, it's exactly. Like I've watched so many episodes and taken tidbits and just learned and applied it to myself. So thanks for having me. And yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, add them to the list. Guys
So-
will follow all winter long.
And the personality, it came through a little bit there in the podcast, but on the ice, it's even better. Like there's we had some really good shooters at this podcast, or sorry, at this ice time with Lyle Mast and with these two goalies. Had Jansen Harkins show up on the final day. Had Tyler Thorpe, Montreal Canadiens prospect, who actually told me he roomed with Cam Fowler last year in Laval in the American Hockey League. So some really good shooters, and the back and forth between Emmett and the shooters, like the fun part he talks, like it kind of, you know, we always go, the cliches Flower, right? You know, and ties there to Marco Marciano in Montreal, and that's going to be his goalie coach when he gets there to the Canadiens. But just the joy with which he plays and the times when he just opens the car door and competes, like, and sort of finding that balance between the structure he's trying to build in his game and that just intensity, that compete, that desperation that shows up on the ice with also a lot of pretty entertaining chirps afterwards and some hat tips when the guys hit their spot. The other thing I would say about Emmett, my goodness, incredible hands. Like just, it was hard to miss. Like it jumped out how active and how stable and controlled, but how well he controls play with both the blocker and the glove. It was pretty impressive stuff. This is not a passive blocking goaltender by any means. So great hands, great kid. Can't wait to follow the career.
It's going to be fun. Looking forward to that and tracking his career along with all the other goaltenders that we bring you on InGoal Radio, the podcast. What's happening for the next week as you have a little bit of space before the USA Goaltending Symposium?
Well, just trying to roll out more content at ingoalmag.com. We've talked about the Dylan Garon series. Part 5 is up. Part 6 is almost finalized. So when you get to the end of that, we've got some little takeaways that were not necessarily part of the drills that he shared with us. So that continues. And at the end, you'll be able to basically put it all together and have Dylan Garon's hour-long skating that he does every summer to sort of build his game. No shots, an entire hour, no shots, all skating. This is how you get better, folks. So parts 5 and 6 of that are coming up. Part 5's live right now if you go to ingoalmag.com. We've got a great article coming from Michael Lawrence about face-offs and face-off positioning, a lot of sort of deeper thoughts about as the game evolves, have we evolved how we approach our positioning off face-offs. He talked to me about how he's coaching in the OHL now, came back from all those years in Switzerland, and he can't believe he gets to these junior identification camps and really skilled, talented goaltenders completely taking themselves out of the play with needless depth, setting up on a face-off draw in the offensive zone. So we've got a great article on that I think applies to young goalies, old goalies, and junior aspirants right up to pro. We're seeing these evolutions in how guys do it. And then just lots more content. We're rolling through our footage from last year. So I'm trying to get through. I've got clips left of Dustin Wolf, who is a fan favorite, as well as Eric Comrie. Now that he's no longer with the Jets, I'm trying to get all his Jets video out in ProReads. So that will continue. And then we've got some new guys that we're connecting with this month to do more ProReads. I mentioned Joey Decord live in Boston. We're hoping to connect with some other guys while we're there. Hoping to get Devin Cooley on for some ProReads. Spencer Knight, a lot of big names that we're adding for the 26-27 season to make sure that we've got those ProReads stocked and coming with lots more great insights for goalies around the world.
And then you're off to Boston with Hutch, sitting side by side in row 11 DE.
I would say row 111, back of the plane. Is there a G and H? All I know is that I want the window seat.
Okay, I was going to say, who gets the middle seat?
I don't know. If there's legroom, I get it. I'm taller.
I'm with you on that one. Hutch, sorry. Thanks for listening to InGoal Radio, the podcast. We'll talk to you again.